In this video, we're going to be discussing Module 1, Getting Started, week of 1/27/2020. This week, we will be primarily concerned with getting you familiar with the environment that we'll be using to run R and run R scripts. We'll also be discussing how to download the necessary programs, such as R, RStudio, and Git for this week. For a more detailed overview of what we're going to be doing, please click on the Overview and To-Do List 1. Within this, we'll see we're going to be reading 2 chapters from each of the books. We're going to be reading Programming Skills for Data Science, Chapter 1 and 2, and R for Everyone, Chapter 1 and 2. As well, these chapters are going to be going through and explaining how to install R, RStudio, and Git. The exercises assigned for this week will be found on the clickable Module 1 exercises. Here, these exercises are primarily concerned with allowing you to become more familiar with the command line, which is Chapter 2 in R for Programming and Data Science. I highly recommend that you do these exercises because your success in this class is contingent on your ability to use the command line, both because you'll be using it with Git and because you'll also be using it in R. This week in the discussion, we'll also have an extra credit. Please go ahead and click on this and introduce yourself. This will provide you with the opportunity to talk about who you are, your major, your hobbies, and allowing me to get to know you a little better. We'll also be having a graded discussion this week concerned with the reading materials that we had. These will be primarily open-ended questions, and your instructions are to reply to each of these different prompts, submit your replies by Wednesday, and as other of your fellow students submit their replies, I would appreciate it if you could respond to 2 of them by Saturday. To earn full points, you will have 3 written posts and 2 well-written replies. For anything other than that, you can see the criterion that I have shown in the table above. Each of these responses should be 3 to 5 sentences. Now that we've covered what we're going to be doing this week, let's cover a little bit about R and RStudio. When you download RStudio, it might look a little complicated. However, you can see that there are 4 main tiles, and these are discussed in the book. In the top left tile, this is where we would be doing any of our documentation or our programming or scripting. And you can see here that I have uploaded the instructions that I use to make your textbook exercises. I do everything inside of R and RStudio, and soon enough you'll learn how to do the same thing. This top left corner shows scripts, but it also allows you to visualize some data. And so here we have a Star Wars data set that's included in one of the packages in R that we'll go throughout the semester. And you can see here that you can navigate through this, and it's very similar to the way that Excel would look if you're familiar with that. In the top right corner, we have Git, which will be discussed in future modules. We have a history of the commands that you do, and we'll have the environment, which will be more thoroughly explained in future modules as well. The environment shows what data you've included, what variables you've assigned, what functions you've made, so on and so forth. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have a console, which is what we can use to type things that we necessarily don't need to be repeated. Let's say that we need some variable to be a, and we want that to be 3. Well, a is equal to 3. And you can see here that as we do that, the value section, a is equal to 3 in the environment. We also have access to the terminal. This is a great way for you to practice, especially using Chapter 2 exercises or Module 1 exercises that I have listed and shown above. In the bottom right-hand corner of RStudio, we have our files, which directory are in. a section for plots if we wanted to make a plot, what packages are available and how to install those, how to find help, as well we have a viewer. For this module, I want you to become familiar with RStudio, play around with it, explore, understand the options. I also want to point out that my RStudio may look a lot different than yours. Yours is most likely going to be white initially, but you can go ahead and you can change that theme very easily by clicking on the RStudio, going to Preferences, and then you can change the appearance. You can also change the layout of the panes, as I've shown here, by switching these around. It also will allow you to have general setting recommendations for displaying your code and editing, how you want your tabs to be set, general where you would like your working directory to be based off of when you open up RStudio, and other different types of settings. So read those 2 chapters for each of the books, become familiar, do the exercises, participate in the discussions, and I'll see you next week. If you have any questions, feel free and don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you very much.